What's up, Carlton people? Moving on again after a really disappointing week. I think we're in that final stretch now. The last few games, you kind of just want to be put out of your misery a little bit. Very worried that this will be the beginning of the going through the motions type part of the season. But we'll keep showing up and we'll keep looking for signs of growth because that's all we really have, to be honest with you. So round 21 this week, it's Carlton and Freo, coming to you live from one of the many offices here in this co-working space. Check out, if you haven't noticed in some of the videos that I've done, we've got these really cool rooms with funky, photos on them. So don't mind old Boxhead over here singing. So playing Freo, obviously we've played them already this season. Last time we met was round 13. We played them at Etihad Stadium. It was a terrible day for us. We ended up losing 6-10-46 to 15-13 103. It was one of the worst displays of effort for the year, and it was, it was after the North Melbourne game, which was a pretty poor effort. It was just a very shocking performance in that first half, especially. I mean, Freo were not going too much better than what we were, and they ended up being up by 70 odd points at half time after what just really looked like a training drill. So that was really alarming, and I remember being really flat at that performance. I went through and listened to the podcast again from after the end of that match, and only really needed to get through 5 minutes to understand the kind of vibe that I was feeling. So that was that. Nat Fyfe was the standout for me. He had 30 touches and 2 goals. Lachie Neale had 35 possessions and 3 goals, and so it was just an abomination of a day. But moving on, what I'm excited about this week, I'm excited for young Harry getting another opportunity to grow. I thought it was a really good performance from him the weekend that just passed. 15 touches, 8 marks, kicked his 3 goals, and we really need him to have games like that so we can sort of see he and Charlie grow together, and I'm really looking forward to that. I was really buoyed by what I saw from Harry. Now, I know that Bolt's made a point of his defensive efforts and how he has a lot of work to do. I thought his defensive efforts were okay. I thought that you could argue that they probably dipped a little bit in that fourth quarter, but I think the majority of the team did. So I don't know, it was interesting. I thought Bolts could have really pumped him up a little bit. So on the one side, it's good. I don't mind the tough love, but on the other side, when you've got a kid who's struggled to get in the park, struggled to get over his injury issues, I think you've got to really celebrate his performance, which I'm sure they did, in the rooms. I'm excited for Cripps and Fyfe having another matchup. That Fyfe could return. He's not a certainty to return, but I think if he does, it'll be a good opportunity to see the young Bulls go at it. I think Cripps has made quite the improvement this season, and he could probably hold his head high and stand next to Nat Fyfe and look him in the eye and not feel like he's too much of a lesser player. I think Fyfe is a better player when fit, but I think young Cripps wouldn't take a step back. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to our response. As we've said throughout the year, for the most part, every time we've had a really a diabolical loss, one of those high volume losses, we always seem to respond the next week. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen, what's been said during the week. I want to see what the review has actually meant for the players and how they respond from that. And so we'll see how that one plays out. And, seeing what we've learnt from the last time we played the Dockers. Obviously we're playing at the newly established Optus Stadium, which will be a first for our group this year. And so, let's have a look and see what they've learnt on the field and how we can prevent the last matchup from happening. What I'm nervous about, as I touched on just at the start of the video, and I touched on it last week, are we now at a point in the season where we're just going through the motions? If we are, we're in trouble because we are already a lesser side. And so if we're a lesser side that is also down on their desperation and their intent, then we're going to have another heavy defeat like we just did. So I am nervous about that. I don't know if we have the mental capacity to win away at the moment, especially in Perth, in that hostile environment. I'm nervous about that. I'm nervous about the fact that Michael Walters didn't play last time, and he traditionally goes well against us. So I'm nervous about what he could do. He seemed to be really fired up after the Andrew Gaff incident, which I'll touch on. It was obviously a shocking incident, and the talk is obviously about Andrew Gaff and not that not being in his character. Obviously these days it's very much trial by media until the tribunal hears the matter, which probably works against Andrew Gaff because everyone's had their say. I know that's the media's role, but anyway, I hope it. I personally think he'll get. I think he'll get 8. I think he'll get 8 weeks. I think it was a touch. I think it was more serious than the bug incident. I think it was there or thereabouts with the Barry Hall hit. So it is what it is, and hopefully he, spends the next few years rectifying his reputation, because we all know he's a class act, Andrew Gaff. So hopefully, both parties come out of it better, and we'll just move on from there. And the final thing that I'm nervous about is, the potential return of Nat Fyfe. He's a player that we just can't stop. It's not a player that we can actually do much about. He can get you his 30, contested, uncontested. He flies for marks, he goes forward, he kicks goals. So he's the ultimate package. Team selection, I think there'll be 3, personally. I think Lobie, Cam O'Shea and Nick Graham will come out. I think Cruiser, Jacob Wiedering, and I think Jack Silvani will come back in. Unfortunately for Graham, he's come back into the senior side and he's just failed to fire. It's just been the story of his season, and we've said it previously this season. We like the fact that he goes back, learns his lesson, dominates in the VFL and comes back in the side, but it's just not good enough once he gets to the AFL level. So he'll come out. O'Shea is in the same situation. Actually, well, he's not, because he doesn't really go back to the VFL and dominate. He obviously is a key position player. I've been really disappointed with what I've seen from O'Shea. Not to take pot shots at him, but it's. I think we expected a guy who had played some footy at Port, played in finals, and was really looking to resurrect his career. And he looks like if you had never known who he was, you'd be pretty surprised to know that he had played footy previously. So he'll come out, and Lobie will come out. I think he's just obviously there as a necessity when Cruz is injured, and obviously Phillips is unavailable as well. So he'll come out. Looking forward to it. It's a Sunday game, 2:10 p.m. and it won't be as early for me because Perth time is a bit different to Melbourne. So that'll be nice for a change. I'll look forward to seeing what happens throughout the week with the Gaff incident and then with the teams, and we'll follow up from there.